Welcome to Cashflow Savannah, episode 63. I'm Julie Gates. Today, we're going to be talking about finding cash flow in everyday assets. This is a speech that I gave to high school students at Islands High School here in Savannah, Georgia. I got to talk to juniors and seniors in high school, and I want them to understand the difference between an asset and a liability, and also where they can find cash flow. It was very interesting talking to these guys. They weren't familiar with the term cash flow, and it's funny because that's a term that I use every day. This is a simplified speech. This isn't the most high-level discussion, but I truly hope it will be helpful to you as you're on your real estate journey. We talk about a lot of the basics and also just thinking outside the box. As a real estate investor myself, I've often struggled with cash flow, and I've often struggled with finding the way to come up with the down payments for my next real estate purchase. I was able to find that in the shared economy. So that's mainly what I discussed today. I truly hope that this will be helpful to you. And without further ado, I will be speaking about finding cash flow in everyday assets. Stay tuned. So my name is Julie Gates. I'm here to talk to you guys about customer service. And I own several businesses. I wouldn't own any of those businesses if I were not good at customer service. So we are going to talk about customer service, but I actually want to talk about a lot of other concepts because to get a customer, you have to start at square one. So I want to start very basic, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I really want y'all to talk. Like, please don't feel like this is a monologue. I really want you to be interactive. I want to share. I love to hear how you see the world because you're going to see it very differently than me. So I want to start very basic. Okay, you guys are. I'm assuming this the room is seniors. Is that right? Y'all, juniors and seniors. Awesome. These should be the two best years of your life. It does not get any better than junior and senior year of high school. I loved high school. So, first question for the room. What is an asset? Who knows what an asset is? Go ahead.
Oh, I might be wrong, but isn't it someone who like a employee but not an employee?
Okay. Okay, that's okay. So he's bringing up employees. An employee, that's a different form of assets, but you're correct. Okay, an asset is something. Okay, go ahead. Okay, please. You want to own something, right? Something that you own. That's good. We're getting there. Does anyone else have a guess on what an asset is? Okay, a critical part of oneself is absolutely an asset. Each of you have many assets. What we're going to talk about today is a physical asset. It could be an employee, it could be anything, but an asset is something that's going to bring money. It's going to bring value. Okay, we're going to specifically talk about money today, but an asset could take many forms. Okay, an asset could be my personality. An asset could be my fabulous nose because I model sunglasses, right? An asset could be literally anything, but it's not an asset until you make money at it. And that is what we're going to talk about. What's a liability? It's the exact opposite of an asset is a liability. Yes.
Something that costs.
Thank you. Something that costs you money. So we have assets in life, we have liabilities. Okay. I'm sure, hopefully, you guys don't have too many liabilities. Okay. In this room, I have a lot of liabilities. I'm an adult, clearly, but all of you either have assets in your life, even though you're teenagers and you're in high school, you do have assets. And that's what we want to talk about today is what assets do you have? How do you identify them? How do you make money off of them? Is anyone interested in making money in this room? I am, right? Okay. When you leave high school, you're going to have bills. You're going to need to pay those bills. You may be in college, you may not be in college, but what you need is to identify your assets and how to make money off of that. Okay. Last question. If I say the word to you, cash flow? Now I'm an investor, I'm a real estate investor, so that means something very specific to me. But if I say, hey, what does the word cash flow mean to you? We've talked about assets, we've talked about liabilities. What does it mean if I say cash flow? Anyone have any idea? It's related to those too. Yes, sir.
Then something to do with like net income, like
Okay.
Assets and liability go against each other.
Perfect. Perfect answer. That's the net cash flow. That's a net amount. So let's say I drive for Uber Eats and I have a car payment. Okay. So my asset is the money that's going to come in. My car is the asset. It's going to bring in money. So let's say I make $100, but I spend $50 in gas. My liability is my car payment and my gas. And then the net asset value left is $50, right? So that's cash flow. Your cash flow is $50. So we took our asset, we turned it in and made money with it, and then we netted $50. Perfect. Okay. So those are These are very simple concepts. These are very important. I really want you guys to always go, oh my gosh, I have so many assets. I'm just not using them appropriately. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I I started buying real estate and then I got into what's called the shared economy. And that's when my assets really grew and exploded because I learned about the shared economy. I learned how to make money off of something very simple. And now I have a very large real estate portfolio. I have a large company. I have a large staff of employees that also help me. So, we're going to move into the shared economy and it is all based around customer service. One thing I love to say is that you're living in your launch pad. Okay, everybody knows what a rocket is. Rockets start on a launch pad and they just shoot north, right? That's exactly what they do. That's what everyone in this room is going to do. That's what I want for you. You're living in your launch pad right now. There's something in your life that's an asset. You may not be making money off of it, but it is an asset. And so what we're going to talk about today is ways to make money, ways to find assets. So when you have an asset, it's going to earn you money. When you have a liability, it's going to lose you money. Okay. If you go play poker and you lose $100, you have no asset to show for that, right? But you now owe someone $100. That's brutal. You do not want liabilities. You always want your assets making more than your liabilities. You want cash flow. Okay. Keep in mind, we're going to keep using those same words. So the greatest thing that has happened, in my opinion, to this economy is the shared economy. And that's a big part of my job. Does anyone know what the shared economy is? You're using it every single day. Anyone? What's the shared economy? That's kind of an odd term. Yes.
Is it like how different parts of the workforce go together in order to make money?
That's right. And it can be literally anything can be the shared economy. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So you can take something, put it on social media, and you can make money off it today. It can be literally anything. The world is your oyster. But I love the shared economy. So it's a socioeconomic system built around the sharing of resources. So we all share together. Let's say the class makes a cake, right? We all make a cake together. Then we go sell the cake. How do we sell it? We put it on every one of y'all's social media. Don't you think we could make more for the cake if we put it on 48 TikTok accounts instead of one? So we're using the shared economy. We're all coming together, we're sharing resources, and then we're all going to share pieces of the cash flow from that cake. So just a little bit about me. My company is Sid was here. Sid is a squirrel. This is Sid right here. And I like to entertain myself, and I also prefer to be unique. I would much rather be unique than boring. I choose unique every day of the week. There's so many people out there, they just want to do what everybody else is doing and stay in their little hole, and they don't want any attention. And I'm not necessarily seeking attention, but if I'm going to name a company, it's not going to be Julie Real Estate Company. That's boring, right? What's more interesting to me was the fact that my son ran a squirrel rescue and his first girl was Sid. And everywhere I went looking at real estate, I would see squirrels. And I'd be like, oh, there's Sid. Oh, Sid. I kept saying that. And so I started, well, Sid was here. So when I went to name my company, I named it Sid was here. Well, years later, I'm now one of the bigger property managers in Savannah. I never intended to be a big property manager in Savannah. And I started going to convention. And at first people were going, Sid was here. They were laughing at me to my face because I would have these signs or a name tag. And I'm like, what's so funny? And be like, oh, your name is Sid was here. And I'd be like, well, your name is White Real Estate Group. Like, what makes you better than me? That's kind of boring, right? Are you going to remember that tomorrow? No. And so they would stop laughing at that point. And I'd say, well, do you own the company? No, I'm an employee. Well, I own Sid was here and maybe I have a weird name, but what got me that name in all the business is that I'm a little bit weird. People remember my name. That's an asset. I use my creativity. I didn't plan it that way. I don't want to say I'm that smart, but I use that to launch myself and say, oh, what's your company name? Sid was here. Sid is a squirrel. They would remember that. And they'd be like, who's that chick that names all of her companies after squirrels? I've had baby squirrels in attorneys' offices all over Savannah because I buy a lot of real estate. And they remember that. They'll be like, oh my gosh, did you bring a squirrel today? And I'd be like, yes, because it's 80 degrees. I can't leave it in the car. And, that's how I built my name, was being unique. That's one of my assets. I'm not afraid to stand out. I'm not afraid to tell you what I do. And I'm definitely not afraid to name my companies after squirrels. I don't really care what anyone thinks about it. That's also one of my assets. So in 2024, literally anything is an asset, as we've spoken about. Your house can be an asset. Your casket can be an asset. That's a fact. Your car, your bridesmaids, your friend, your cat, your dog, and your toilet. I will show you how this is true. This is Kobe the cat. You want to know what Kobe the cat made in 2021? Anyone heard of this? Kobe the cat? I hadn't either. Kobe the cat is on Instagram. Kobe the cat averages $5.6 million a year in cash flow. There's our word, cash flow. Would anyone like to make $5.6 million a year? I mean, come on. A young couple had Kobe the cat. They're in their 20s. They noticed that he had beautiful cat guy liner, they call it apparently. And then he was a handsome devil. Well, they start putting Kobe the cat in different outfits, putting him on Instagram. Kobe the cat now has licensing deals. He has calendars. He has pens. He has everything you can imagine. These people took their cat and their cat has made them multimillionaires. Okay. Your cat is an asset. If you can be creative, think outside the box, use that cat to be an asset. I know that's weird, but who here has a cat? I'm sure we all have pets, right? Your cat can be an asset. When you guys get home today, I want you to be like, Rover, I need some cash flow. Figure it out. It's completely doable. Who here I know y'all have watched animals on social media. I have. One of my favorite things, fainting goats. Has anyone watched fainting goats on social media?
Well, I have seen a fainting goat on somewhere.
OMG. Fainting goats are my jam. And guess what YouTube does? They take your videos and that's an asset to YouTube, right? They make money. Everybody gives YouTube videos for free. Then they take it and they push it out to everyone else. They sell ads at the bottom. Who's richer than Google? Not many people, right? Is that kind of an alternative asset? Is that what you think of when you think assets and liability? Other people's cat videos? But Google has made that an asset, and you can too if you get enough followers, just like Kobe the cat. Get enough followers, get enough licensing deals. Now your cat is an asset. So let's talk about Airbnb. This is where I come into the shared economy. I was a real estate investor. And when you're a real estate investor, the beautiful thing about real estate as an asset is that you can buy a $100,000 house with only $20,000. You can use leverage, okay? But you still have to come up with that $20,000 to buy a house. So I was struggling with that. I kept running out of money. I wanted more rentals. I didn't have enough money. But what I realized was that I had a pool house at my house. It was already furnished. It was sitting there not making any money. It was a liability, right? It's costing me money every month. It was a liability. All of a sudden, I learned about the shared economy and Airbnb. Have all of y'all heard of Airbnb? I'm not talking about anything you haven't heard of, right? This is okay. Thank you. So Airbnb it's a crowd sharing platform. It is a part of the shared economy. You can put your house on Airbnb right now or your spare bedroom, and it goes out to millions of people and someone will rent it just on that platform. And so that can turn your spare bedroom into an asset. Who thinks of that? People will pay to sleep on your couch. They'll pay to camp in your yard. I mean, Airbnb has literally changed the world. So when I found out about Airbnb, I took my pool house, I put it on Airbnb, and my liability overnight became an asset. All of a sudden, people started paying me thousands of dollars to stay in my pool house. And I was like, is this legal? Like I wasn't used to this, but I was able to turn that liability into an asset. And that one house helped me buy another and another and another and another. And here we are today. So this is a true case study. A friend of mine, her name is Tina, and she came to me and she said, I have nothing. I have 4 daughters going to college. I need money. And I said, you have an asset. Let's figure out where it is. What she had was an old farmhouse. Okay. And it wasn't fabulous. It was just an old farmhouse. But guess what a lot of people like to do? They like to visit farms. They live in the city. They want to go to the country. So first she took her farmhouse. She put it on Airbnb. She called me. I made $7,000. I said, your liability is now an asset. This is called cash flow. She was thrilled. Next thing, she had animals on the farm that she was driving out to feed every day. Liabilities, right? They cost money. They cost time. The guests start going, hey, Tina, can we feed your animals? She's like, yeah, yes, you can. So she set up her barn with signs. Here's the food trowel. Here's the food. Here's the scooper. Put instructions in the farmhouse. Next thing you know, people are paying her to stay in her farmhouse. They're paying her to walk across the yard to the barn, and they're paying her so they can feed her animals. And she calls me again. I'm making even more money, and I don't have to feed the animals. Like she turned her Airbnb guests into her own version of assets, right? Crazy. Next, she put campers on the property. She put a group area for parties. And next thing you know, she has 5 to 7 streams of income on one piece of property. And it really wasn't that hard. She didn't go to college to learn that. She just took an old farmhouse. She made it cute. She thought outside the box. And now she makes 7 to 10,000 a month off of something that previously was costing her money. It's not rocket science. You just have to do it. You just have to figure out how to do it. So when you're wanting to figure out what you want to invest in, be creative. What do you have that's unique? Every single one of you has a gift that no one else has, that I don't have. I can't do graphic design like Shockey. I wish I could, but that's her creative gift, right? But you all have a different thing. Maybe you do video editing. Maybe you rap, all these things I can't do. What isn't being used? Do you have any special skills? Okay, that's really the first thing to getting an asset. Airbnb has done a huge thing for our country in general, in that it's helped a lot of elder communities. It's helped a lot of minorities. So a lot of women that were stay-at-home moms, they didn't have a job, they had their kids, they wanted to make money. They started, like I said, renting out their spare room, renting out an extra unit. So using this shared economy, a lady with arguably no job was able to turn a liability into an asset. I'm one of them. So 55% of Airbnb hosts are women. It's huge. Senior citizens. So a lot of people have a hard time staying retired, but they have a house that's paid off. Well, they start renting out their house on the shared economy, and now they're able to pay their mortgage again. It's also made homes very affordable. If you're one person living a 3-bedroom house, you can rent out the other 2 bedrooms $1,000 each per month. I know a lot of full-time military personnel, they don't make a lot of money, but they own a lot of real estate because they do this rent by the bedroom strategy. They live in one, they rent out the other bedrooms. Next thing you know, they're sleeping on the couch, they're renting out the 3rd bedroom. They turn what should be an expense to them, a liability, into an asset, and they're getting paid to live there. That's a great concept. Just keep this in mind. These are things that aren't typically talked about, but you really can live for free if you're smart, if you use assets and understand how to work them in the shared economy. We have a lot of different platforms. I'm sure you've heard of many of them. Uber and Lyft, I'm sure you guys have heard of, right? Turo is awesome. If you have a car and you're not using it, you can put your car, any car, on Turo. And I know people that buy sports cars that they really can't afford, but renting it out 2 weekends a month pays the car payment. Now they've got a Corvette the rest of the month. That's just thinking outside the box. So that's turning a liability. Most people, a Corvette is a liability, right? A very significant one. But it is not that hard to turn that liability into an asset. Postmaster, Uber Eats, DoorDash, these are all examples of the shared economy. So this is a box of other ways for you to make money. And I really want to point out my favorite one. So we have different things that you can rent. Like I said, you can walk dogs, you can rent your RV, you can rent your cat. This I am obsessed with. I need someone in this room to help me. Airbnb. I learned this when I was researching for this. There's a website. It's gone out, but I'm trying to bring it back. It's called Airbnb. So instead of B&B, bed and breakfast, we have Airbnb. And what they have done is they're encouraging people to cash flow on their toilet. Has anyone ever wanted to do that? It's kind of out there. Anyone been to St. Patty's Day here in Savannah? It's crazy, right? Is finding a bathroom very easy? Like when you go to these big festivals or maybe a concert or St. Patty's Day or whatever, there aren't any toilets. Does anyone want to use a porta potty? I don't. Like if I can get out of it. So they developed Airbnb where for big events, let's say Times Square, right? The ball's dropping. They purposely don't put bathrooms down there. Like it's tough, but you can go to Airbnb, register your toilet. You can set your own rate. That's the great thing about shared economy. You can say $10, $20, come use my beautiful, pristine toilet. You post a photo on Airbnb. Now you're at St. Patty's Day. You don't want to stand for 20 minutes and wait on that porta potty. You can go to Airbnb and go pay $5 and use a toilet in a mansion down the street. Well, that's just turning a liability into an asset. I love that concept. Someone really thought outside the box. So I need y'all to help me bring back Airbnb. I love it. You can literally grow up to be anything. When I was y'all's age, they would say, quit playing video games. You can't make any money at that. Video game guys do very well. I'm sure some of y'all know some of them that they get out there and they get paid to play video games. Have you guys seen this? Am I crazy? My children follow several very big guys and you'll see it float across your screen. $10, $200, $400. Like it's incredible that people get paid to play video games in this day and age, but they do. And you can too. But those guys put themselves out there. They did something a little bit different and outside the box.
I would say YouTube's a huge example of that. Like being
Yes, being a YouTuber. There are some very wealthy YouTubers out there. Absolutely. One of my favorite is Jake Paul. You guys know Jake Paul? I watched his Netflix special and I became a huge fan. He is just very good at getting attention. He cash flows on you paying attention to his videos, right? What a weird asset to go, hey, my asset is your attention span. But that's exactly what these YouTubers are doing. If you pay attention and watch their videos, they're going to get paid from ads. So they're very motivated to make good videos, keep you entertained, right? We love YouTube. YouTube is awesome. So having a real asset, you've just got to look at income just a little bit differently. It's great to change your time for money. There's nothing wrong with going to work and punching a clock and getting paid. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But if you're really going to get ahead in life, you're going to need to think outside the box, be unique, and find assets. So this is another example. Your car gets you to work. You rent it through Turo on the weekends, that you get paid to drive other people to work with you. Like if you're going somewhere, you can go on Uber and say, hey, I'm going from here to Tybee Island. Does anyone want to come? Someone will pay you to ride with you to Tybee Island. You were going anyway, okay? These are just out of the box methods. The other thing, I've already kind of talked about this a little bit, embrace the weird. Don't be afraid to name your company after a squirrel. I did. I'm still here. Try to make people laugh, be unique. The more you can stand out in this market, the better. Think YouTube, which is a great example. The people that are like, hey, I'm making a YouTube video. No one's going to watch that. But if I smash, a 4,000 bottle of wine over my $400,000 Lamborghini, you want to watch that, right? I've got your attention now. So they're using their weirdness to make money. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. This concludes my presentation on the shared economy. Once you have customers, you do have to have service. Again, I brought people into my house. I took good care of them. They had a great stay. We got 5 stars. And look at me now. I'm a property manager, but you can do all different things. I just want to encourage you guys to be very creative, think outside the box, and remember that everything in life, it's only one of two things. It's either an asset or it's a liability. And how you use that item in your life is totally up to you. But if you use it correctly, you're going to have cash flow and you're going to be light years ahead of your other friends. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anything I can answer on this? I know I've kind of talked about something kind of weird. All right, well, good. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. I also hope it wasn't too basic. Please stay tuned to Cash Flow Savannah for more. We love talking about the Savannah market and how to make money in it. And I must say how much I love the shared economy. And I hope that this is a blessing to you. If there's anything you're wanting to learn about, if you appreciate this message, please comment below. Give us a shout out on social. We would love it so much. We're a very small company and we are trying to make a difference here. And it's just been our absolute pleasure to be of service to you. So thank you again for listening, and I will see you on the next round. Bye-bye.